When bad things happen or someone hurts us or we see evil happening to us, we always wonder, can any good ever come out of this? You know, God has a way of turning bad into good. Our problem is we're finite. We only see about this much of it, where God is infinite and He can see it all. And just like ripples on a pond, a single event can go out far beyond our ability to see or to reach. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, how God can turn good from evil. What I want to tell you real briefly today is about the story of Joseph. And this starts in Genesis around the 37th chapter and goes toward the end of the book. Now, you've probably heard the story of Joseph and his coat of many colors. But I'm going to tell you the part where Joseph is sold into slavery by his brothers. Of course, his brothers went back and told their father that Joseph had been killed, but in fact they had sold him into slavery, and there he was taken over to Egypt. Now, while he was in Egypt, he was put into prison. But God had given Joseph a unique ability. He was able to interpret dreams. So when the Pharaoh was plagued with a dream that he had no idea what it meant, Joseph was able, by the gifts of God, to be able to tell Pharaoh that there was coming a time of 7 good years and 7 bad years. And because of that, the Pharaoh put Joseph more or less in charge. The only person higher than Joseph was the Pharaoh himself. So Joseph was more or less the governor over Egypt, and because of that he was able to store up plenty of grain and crops and food in the 7 good years to be prepared for the famine that was coming. Now, as luck would have it, as years went by, Joseph's brothers and his father, who were needing food, they end up traveling to Egypt to buy grain and food because of the famine. And who do you think they ran into? Yes, Joseph's brothers ran into Joseph. Now, they didn't recognize him to start with. Of course, Joseph knew exactly who they were. But through a series of events, Joseph was able to provide food for his brothers and his father and his family, and eventually brought them all to Egypt, where they were taken care of during the famine. Now, God used this evil that the brothers had done to Joseph to turn it around and save many, many people, including the ones that had done evil against him. God has a way of taking bad things and turning them into good. And I want to tell you what Joseph said there in the book of Genesis. In Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, this is what Joseph said. But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about, as it is this day, to save many people alive. The story of Joseph teaches us many, many lessons, not just on how God can turn bad things into good, but it teaches us about being obedient to God and staying faithful to Him. It teaches us about being patient and waiting on God. It also, through Joseph's example, shows us how we should be forgiving to those who have done evil toward us. The last verse I want to share with you today comes out of Romans chapter 8, verse 28. It says, and we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. All things work together for the good of those that love the Lord according to His purpose. When bad things happen, remember, be patient, wait upon the Lord, trust in Him, remain faithful, knowing that God works all things to His good, according to His will and His purpose. God has a way of turning evil into good. Our job is to remain faithful and trustworthy in Him. God bless you this coming week.